upload for this evening is with regard to the role of progressive developments that involve artificial intelligence. I wouldn't be a connoisseur or completely au fait with AI, but I remember at one point having a brief scan of an interesting article with regard to the role of artificial intelligence and with truth and justice as its objective. So I've briefly mentioned that before in the past in my uploads, and it's quite pertinent at the moment for me to share about my opinions of how any developments in any such field would be affecting a human being, a human being's presence, and a human being's bodily integrity. Health is difficult enough to maintain these days. When there's Hippocratic oaths being defied, it becomes a little bit more difficult. When you're experiencing human rights violations, it becomes a little bit more difficult. So the issue of practitioners not doing their job according to standards, practices, and ethos, and people not living according to the Declaration of Human Rights and the Constitution of a democracy, and putting obstacles in a qualified professional property owner's path as a means of societal obstructions and obstructing are all issues contending with progress and developments, success and failures. So the failings that I have shared about are not failings I'm comfortable with airing or broadcasting, but as a humanitarian and as a representative of the President's office since 2006 and the Duke of Edinburgh office since 2007, I am obliged, as well as an educator and a mother, to share for the interest of fellow humanitarians that bodily integrity damages are just simply unacceptable. Progress in any field that assists justice and humanity are all formidable projects and endeavours. Any endeavour that damages health and that disrespects a qualified woman's autonomy with regard to her own body, and individuals taking liberties with decisions about another woman's body are really, really disrespecting all women, and they are disrespecting the profession they represent, as well as disrespecting the pillars of society and basically the circumstances of which I'm referring to are the contradiction of terms with the objectives initially of AI with truth and justice, and the objective of those ill-intended individuals that have damaged my bodily integrity without even so much as respect for mutual understanding, consent, or agreements. None of that ever was broached, reached a point of discussion. Not ever did the individuals that damaged my spiritual light body ever have the courtesy or the integrity or the level of professionalism to approach the matter of how they were damaging my physical body also. So in the past 3 to 4 years, my physical body has been damaged by those of poor academic practices and poor research and development practices, and they have had the audacity to have a procedure in place without so much as a point of contact, without so much as consent, without so much as treatment, without so much as compensation for damages to my body, livelihood and well-being, as well as the issue of their objective, not for truth and justice, but to cause harm and to disturb the peace and basically to be destructive. Nature is a powerful force. Artificial developments are very delicate advancements and additions to any society, and are to be treated as delicately as they are prepared. And the individuals being reckless in their practices with regard to my circumstances in particular, with bodily integrity damages occurring and with violations of privacy and the accessing of information that they have absolutely no right to. So I have a huge issue with my spiritual life body having been harmed, and I have a very serious issue about the individuals that took liberties with fragments of my light body for their own intents and purposes without even so much of a scrap of courtesy towards my sacred light body. The individuals that have exploited and gained monetarily from these circumstances are in contempt. They have produced and created unstandardized means and unlawful documentation and circumstances that have inhibited human rights and that have damaged the constitution of this country. There have been individuals that have had no right to exploit light fragments from my body, and they had no right to cause impoverishment or bodily integrity damages or violations of privacy or disturbances of the peace. So those that are defying the original objective of the AI research and development throughout the world, with the hope of safeguarding justice and peace, basically, would be disappointed with circumstances that are occurring at the moment for me due to those of ill practices, misconduct and malpractice. The objective for any society is to progress, and peace isn't always within the realm of possibilities for destructive mentalities that have no respect for other people's privacy. Privacy is precious, and since 2016 my privacy has been horrendously intruded upon, and there have been strangers, anonymous, discussing matters that they have had no right to discuss whatsoever, and there have been professionals and practitioners trying to make a bad situation worse and trying to make a sickness in society because of their bad practices and bad procedures. So my ECHR application is relevant not only to the fact that there is a child rights issue, but there's a women's rights issue and there's a human rights issue. So the democracy that I have respected, that has ignored my child and I and our experiences of offences due to these culprits in this community taking liberties, I hope the democracy and its representatives are able to address this issue with the honesty, dignity and integrity that all of humanity and all of the world's humanitarians and all of the world's humans are able to expect from its government's representatives. And the individuals disrespecting the constitutional rights of a law-abiding citizen and damaging the health and wealth of a professional, qualified individual is not positive for progress in justice and peace. So I'm aware that those damaging bodily integrity remotely, without my consent, and that have harmed my anatomy, have obstructed justice. So for those in the field of AI that prioritise their morals and objectives above bad business, I hope you see the consequences of the misconduct that I'm experiencing with the past 3 years. And I hope the European Court of Human Rights sees how serious a problem has been caused for Sacred Royal and her child in Tralee, County Kerry, Ireland.